Joining the Porn Crush studio tonight by Sisi Rose. And I'm telling you, I'm a little shocked that we were able to pin her down because from what I've been hearing, Sisi, you've been one busy girl since entering the industry in March, and the shoots have just been picking up like crazy. Thanks for joining us. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Busy
absolutely.
bee over here.
Yeah. Before we before we get into your time in the industry, I want to ask you a little bit about your background. You're brand new. I don't think a lot of people know too much about you. Tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about where you grew up and kind of your, I guess, your childhood, teen years, that kind of era.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in like a really small city in New York, actually. So I tell everybody that I'm from New York. Everyone always is like, "Oh, you grew up in New York City." That's what everyone assumes when you say New York, anyway. But I am actually from Syracuse, so it's like a small. It's
Yeah.
actually a city close to Syracuse. I just say Syracuse because most people know that.
Hmm.
And it was actually funny. I was the only person in my city for the longest time, if not still now, not really sure, that had an OnlyFans. So I was always a little controversial as it was. It's kind of like how I
Yeah.
got started.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I went to school for a couple years. I have a few degrees.
Oh,
I have
you
like
do.
4 degrees actually.
Wow.
Um,
And what
and
and what were your interests? When you were back in your school days, what were you
yeah,
passionate?
my interests, yeah, back then are still my current interests. It's just now that I'm in this world, obviously, I'm not like diving into them. So I have a degree in philosophy, psychology, cognitive science, and then I have an associate's degree in health science.
Oh gosh. Wow.
Yeah, I know, a multifaceted girl over here.
Yeah.
Originally, I also have a business in New York, so I'll go back to New York and just hang out with my friends and family and stuff. But then I'll book appointments because I do like semi-permanent tattooing
Mm.
over there, so like eyebrows and just girly things.
Yeah. So you're
Um,
still trying to dabble in that when you can, huh?
yeah, I still do that. I actually just went there a couple weeks ago. Um, I just did like 30 appointments in a week. It was actually kind of crazy. I'm like, next time I go to New York, I'm actually just not going to tell anyone and
Right.
just hang out with my friends and family because I was a little wild. But yeah, it's fun. I still like doing that. I had a lot of clients at the time, from when I started to now. I didn't really want to be like, see you later. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a nice little thing to do.
Yeah. It probably
And
takes your mind off of things and lets you catch your breath a little bit. That's
yeah,
good.
it makes me feel like a normal person for a little bit, you know?
Right. You probably don't feel like a normal person right now. You're kind of become an instant celebrity here in this world. But before we get
I
into that,
don't know.
was that kind of what you? I mean, when you were looking at your future before the adult industry, was that kind of where you were headed? Do you think? Kind of in the. I mean, did you have long term
Like,
plans? It's.
like of being in the adult industry.
No, I mean before you got in, like if you wouldn't have got in the industry, did you see yourself doing that long term? Eyebrow.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I was like really passionate about that, which I still am. It's just a little, it's like secondary to me right now. But yeah, so I wanted to just expand on my business and then just buy like a big studio and then train people to do what I was doing
Mm.
as well as I was doing it, have people work under me and then kind of be a little more hands off. Sort of like a
Right.
hair salon type of situation, but like just more, tattooey and have people get trained by me so I know that they were at the
Yeah.
same caliber because I'm really good at it. That's why I stay going at it.
Right.
But yeah, and then just kind of like, monetize off of that. Buy a few rental properties. I always wanted to get into that.
Hmm.
Not use my degrees. That was kind of my little like fallback options, I think, just in case. I don't
Yeah.
know why I got 4 of them, but just like just in case.
You must have been a damn good student. That's a lot of studying, a lot of
I was pretty
more.
good. Yeah,
Were you a straight
yeah,
A
for the
student
most.
in high school? Were you?
No, actually, I definitely fucked off a lot in high school, and I fucked off a lot the first year that I was in college too. I was not taking it seriously. I was like obsessed with this one guy, and you know how that goes. Just like
Mhm.
love, just kind of
Yeah.
drags you down to the pits of hell. But I was like, so dramatic. But I was like, yeah, obsessed with him, so I wasn't focusing. After a while, though, I was pretty good. And then there was a few classes like philosophy's difficult, so I swindled my teachers to kind of let me out of there. You know.
You got through it. Yeah. Only child, brothers, sisters. What's your?
Yeah, I have one sister. I have potentially, I think, another sister because I don't know my dad actually,
Okay.
which is so cliche. It's like, of course, porn star girl doesn't know her dad.
Mhm.
I think it worked out for the best,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I'm pretty sure he has a daughter.
Right.
But my sister that I'm like close with, she's actually my half sister as well. So we have like weird family dynamics. But Yeah, she's 2 years younger than me, and she's a normal person, so it's
Yeah.
cool.
And you're well traveled because I know that after New York, you relocated to Miami, which is kind of where your residence is now. Um,
Yeah.
well, why did you make that move?
I don't know. It was kind of one of those things that it's just like you don't know what you don't know. So I think, even a few months ago, I think like in this world and in any world that you kind of just delve into, it's all about navigating
Mm-hmm.
yourself for the most part. And at the time, I had like the Brazzers exclusivity contract for the first month that I started, and they were shooting me in Fort Lauderdale all the time. So my friend wanted to move to Miami,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it would be a good idea because I wanted to get out of New York anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I just kind of stayed almost because of that, because I knew like Brazzers and Reality Kings were shooting me a lot back then. But
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm still shooting over there. It's just like I feel like LA is so much more
Yeah.
porny,
Yeah.
business wise. Yeah. So now I'm actually contemplating moving here in the next couple of months.
Right.
I'm just like,
Right. That'd be great. That'd be great. Just to backtrack a bit, were there signs in your, your teens and early 20s that the adult industry or adult work was something that could be in your future? How'd you kind of get into it, I guess?
yeah, for sure. I think like so I was always really sexual as it was. Even when I was like really young. I mean, I don't know if it's like a little inappropriate to talk about, but when I was like really young, I was like really sexual. It was weird, but and when I was like 14, I dated this guy who was 18. I should now have been dating him, but you know how that goes. And he just lied to everybody on stage. But anyway, no names mentioned here.
It's okay.
But yeah, I had a couple boyfriends that were like, "You always want to have sex, like leave me alone." Just weren't into it.
Oh wow, you were wearing them out. They couldn't handle it all.
Yeah, they couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't take it anymore. They're like, "Get the fuck off me." But
I
how
can't.
I got into it though initially, I dated a guy actually relatively recently, so I've been single without him for probably like a little over a year and maybe a half. But he had a really bad porn addiction, like super bad.
Right.
And I'm not like the controlling type. I'm never gonna be like, "Oh, don't do that." It's like whatever. But we would watch it. He was also a nymphomaniac, so he was kind of my speed. So it's nice. But we'd watch it together, and I would always be like, I think I'm gonna do this someday." And he would be like, "Shut up, no, you're not."
Right.
You know what I mean? He's like, "Yeah, okay." And eventually, like, we broke up, and I was like, "No, I actually kind of want to do it though."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, now he watches me.
Now he watches you. Oh, he's stuff right now. You said he had an addiction. So, like, was it just playing all the time? And I guess where you were living with him, if you were.
Yeah, it was. So I mean, he had just had a sex addiction in general, but back when I was like a little, like we dated for a few years, so I was like a little bit younger when we first started, and I would like look through his phone and stuff, and there'd just be porn all over the place. Like that was his entire search history. He'd never delete it. I just don't. I think he was just unapologetic. He just didn't give a fuck. But um, yeah, so I'd look at all the stuff he was looking at, and I'm like, damn, you're a sick motherfucker. But I'm like, you're gonna be watching me in a couple years.
Right. Well, did you start to get
Yeah.
into it a little bit too, and like find yourself getting turned on by it, or have stars that you
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I definitely like I didn't mind it. I was like totally with it. But I
Mhm.
did always tell him I was like, no, I'm really gonna do this, and he was just like, yeah, all right, whatever. But yeah, it was always cool. Like I would see like the girls that were pretty big,
Mhm.
and I'd be like, yeah, that's who I'm
Yeah,
trying to be. Not really be, but maybe like get on like their level, I guess I would say.
absolutely.
You
Anyone
know.
anyone specific that you remember watching and kind of liking during that
I
time?
mean, I feel like old porn.
Mhm.
Maybe like I feel like Sasha Grey was just an icon, but
Yeah.
also Jenna Hayes I feel like was super underrated for whatever reason. I think she was super fucking like
Oh yeah.
weirdly like not extremely my type, but just a great performer.
Great performer.
Like
Very.
I'll watch some of her stuff and I'm like, yep. And then like more new school, probably just like maybe Lana Rose. I mean, she's like I feel like everyone is
Yeah.
partial to her, but I think she had like good dirty talk and she seemingly liked the scenes. I don't know if like in real life that's how it was, but it's like it's not really
So you
it
made.
doesn't matter at the end of the day as long as it looks like she was enjoying it.
Yeah. And I was saying, so many performers strive to work for Brazzers one day, and you actually got to start your career with Brazzers. Such an honor, I'm sure that was. How did that come about? How'd you get to skip?
Yeah, that was definitely pretty cool. Someone was like, "Oh, you skipped the line." I'm like, "I guess so." I feel like essentially that is what I did. I'm not really exactly sure how I like kind of pulled it off, but it was actually the case that I was going to shoot porn a year ago.
Hmm.
So like just a year ago from now, and I had an agent and everything. I had everything set up. Within that month, they had me for like a couple browser shoots. Wasn't going to be like my first, but it was like later on in that month. So they were kind of on me already. And then I actually pulled out a day before because I wasn't completely sure in my decision making. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do it actually. So I pulled out, felt kind of shitty about it, and I closed the door. And then a year later, it was Kieran Lee actually. He had messaged me because I was kind of not really popping off on Instagram, but I was kind of just trying to grow my Instagram. So I was
Hmm.
posting a lot more frequently, getting a little more traction. He had messaged me. He asked if I wanted to like shoot content, and I was like, yeah, sure. Like when I come to, if I come to LA,
Hmm.
and he was like, actually, do you want to just do like a Brazzers shoot? And I was like, oh, they still want me.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, yeah, they do, blah blah blah. So they were like on my ass for a little bit, I guess, and yeah, it just kind of like organically happened that way. That like I shut that door originally, and then it opened back up. So I
Hmm.
was like, nah, okay, what else am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And they had initially just seen you online. Do you think that's how they discovered you, or did they?
Yeah, well, it was actually like so back when I was with a different agent, they had like put in, some words for
They.
like about me, kind of like repped me a little bit, sent them some pictures. So I think they were like, oh, she kind of looks like a
Yeah.
Brazzers type of girl, maybe. So they did know who I was. And then when Kieran Lee was kind of like, initiating that we shoot, I think he also put in a good word. I feel like that's like the best too, when someone's just like putting a good word in for you to the companies.
Yes.
Because, oh, okay, we actually know somebody who knows you,
Yeah.
who's repping for you. So you got to be pretty good, you know?
Was your first scene with him? Is that who was with Kieran?
No, I actually didn't even end up being with Kieran. So I ended up shooting a browser scene where Kieran was the director,
Hmm.
um, maybe like a month ago in LA. But originally, when I did shoot with them, I shot with J Mac, actually, like in
Oh,
Miami. That was my first.
yeah.
He popped my porn cherry.
Yeah, he's a good one. What do you remember about that day as far as your nerves or your mentality going into it? Anything stand out about that first shoot?
It was, yeah, it was really weird because initially, I think it's almost like the workup up until it actually happens, and then you're like, oh fuck yeah, we're doing this. Because then it seems it's like that way if I get like my blood drawn, I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to do this, and then once it's happening in the moment, you're like, man, this wasn't really
Hmm.
anything.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt. Like I was a little nervous at first, then I got my hair and makeup done, and I started to chill out because I was like, well, I'm already here, so I might as well send it, do the best I can. And then I remember the director, Polly, he was kind of like egging me on a little bit because he's like, yeah, she's super hot, but can yeah, like can she perform? Like let's see how she does this and this. And then and it gave me a little burst of like, I'm gonna fucking show you, Polly.
Yeah.
And then after, so we did it and it was good. It was like organic, it was fun. And then we did it, and then after Polly messaged me later on that night, and he's like, okay, I can't lie. I told Brazzers to contract you before you get too big and then you get away from them. Like,
Oh my gosh.
so it was like maybe like a little I don't know, impressive of a scene for him at least to
Yeah.
say that. I don't know, but
Wow.
I think it went like probably better than he expected.
Yeah. How'd that make you feel just to get contracted like that right off the bat?
I mean, I didn't end up well, I was already in the exclusive contract of a month, but he was like, you guys should actually really try to contract her.
Yeah.
And initially, like in my mind anyway, I was like, I'm kind of like, I'm not sure if he really did say that or if he was just saying that he said that because he was impressed or something. But um, I was like, I'm too new for that right now. Like, and I love them and I love being associated with them. But I also, if I'm trying to build my brand, I want to be shooting with like a lot of different companies and diversifying a little bit first so people actually know who I am, you know?
Right.
But no, it made me feel pretty good because I was like, I think I was built for this.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the
You
type of
know?
scenes or moments in scenes where you feel like you really flourish or where you really get turned on and kind of take it to the next level? What's your
Um, I don't know. I feel like the type of scenes where like first I just love gonzos. I feel like if you're just like I think if you're like a performer, even though I just started, it's like I mean in my mind this is my own opinion, but I think if you're in like a performer, you really like to fuck. Like you just love a good gonzo scene. You
Hmm.
know? That's
Hmm.
like no cuts. Like I feel like every time I do a gonzo there's like no cuts. And sometimes I think maybe there is, I don't know, but I'm assuming not because the directors, for the most part, are usually like, we did no cuts this time. And I'm like, okay, but is that normal? I don't know. So
Yeah.
I love a little no cut, free flow, whatever. And I really love when the guy is like telling me, like talking back to me. Like I'll talk really dirty and then they're getting really nasty too.
Right.
Some
Right.
guys you talk really dirty to and they're just like, yeah, that they like don't know what to say. Maybe you like freeze up and get a little nervous.
Hmm.
But yeah, when they're like really getting into it, just being a nasty little freak, I'm like, yeah, this is it.
So you feel like you really do in those great scenes, like there's a real connection there with the guy you're fucking. I mean, it's really you almost forget the cameras are there. Is that
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel like when the cameras are on, it doesn't like everything else is just blurred in the background and it's just me and this guy and we're just like going to town.
absolutely?
And I have like a really good time. Like it's one of those things like I wouldn't do it for free,
Hmm.
but I have a great time doing it. So
Right.
I feel like that's kind of what matters.
Not to get too personal, but I mean, is your personal life sex? Is it kind of like the sex you're having on camera, or is it just however you may be feeling at the time, or like is it?
Yeah, no, I actually so weirdly enough, I don't really have like recreational sex, I guess I would call it. Like with just
Yeah,
whoever now at least.
yeah. Well, maybe
And
not.
even before
Yeah, at some point in your life, I guess. But yeah.
yeah, like even before I actually never really slept with like a lot of people. I was like a relationship girl. But
Mhm.
like the sex that I have on camera is like the same exact sex that I just have
Right.
in general. Like I say like the same things, like I'm getting into it the same way that I would get into it as if you were like my boyfriend of like 3 years, you know?
Gotcha. That's what I was
'Cause
getting at.
that's
Yeah.
just yeah, that's how I get when I'm like turned on. It's no phony shit. I'm into it.
You've
It's
really
good.
you've worked with some of the top guys already in the business. I think I saw you I didn't get a chance to say hi, but I think I saw you at Miami Exotica. Walking around with Maximo Garcia at one point.
Oh yes,
He-
yeah.
he's having a great year. What's it like working with him?
He's good actually. So like we're friends, but we only like so far like we've only shot like content and stuff together.
Okay, yeah,
Um so we'll do like OnlyFans stuff and things like that.
yeah,
Because he's contracted with like a different company and everything. But it's like
that's right.
he is really good. He's a great performer, absolutely for sure. He's kind of funny because when you first fuck someone, you got to feel them out a little bit. He was
Hmm.
thinking that he was hurting me because he has a pretty big dick and
Hmm.
it's pretty thick.
Hmm.
But no, he was fine. It went smoothly. It was fun. And now when I go back to Miami because he's moving over there, we're just gonna shoot all the time.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize he was moving there. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. There's so many porn fans, CC, that you get online and all they want to know about is anal. When's she gonna shoot anal? When she's doing this? Is that
yeah,
something that's in your future? You holding off, or is it something you're? I mean,
yeah. I definitely want to for sure.
hmm.
And it's one of those things that like I mean I can't lie. Maybe I should lie, but I won't because I don't lie and I don't care. But I just do it in my personal life. Like I used to do it all the time. Like,
Hmm.
but nowadays I'm like, for mainstream, I'm not sure. I'm gonna hold off a little bit
Yeah,
because I do feel like it's like a little more sought after. But in my mind, I'm also like, it's not that serious.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
it
It's
that serious?
not that big of a deal to you. Yeah,
I feel like it's not that big of a deal, but and I'm not expecting to like get rich off of it or anything.
yeah.
So that's why in my mind I'm like, should I even really hold out? I'm gonna hold out a little bit longer, but if I were to do like my first anal scenes,
Hmm.
I would say like my top two would be like just some sort of Brazzers like crazy thing
Yeah,
or Mike Adriano, 100%.
yeah,
those are
yeah. Have
those
you
are the
worked?
only two that break it for me.
Right before, yeah, yeah. There's so many performers that love working with Mike Adriano. I know I've never heard anyone say anything bad about him. I think
Yeah,
he must treat treat y'all really well. So many girls get into porn and they've never acted before, and all of a sudden they find themselves in these dialogue heavy feature films, and all of a sudden they've become actresses too. Is that something that kind of potentially excites you, or not something you care as much about?
Oh yeah, for sure. I actually just told someone today, I was like, if I could like later on in my career just do a transition and just acting, then that would be amazing. And
Yeah,
it's not that I don't love fucking and that I don't love fucking on camera because I
yeah,
100% do, but to just kind of like diversify, branch out a little bit when I'm like, okay, I want to do something different, I would absolutely love that for
yeah,
sure. I think the acting portion is very fun. I like
yeah.
Gonzo because it's more organic, but I think if it's like, relatively heavy dial. What actually is my favorite is ad libby stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You
yeah. There's
know,
a lot of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like when you know the gist of the situation, and they're like, "Oh, just act like this." It's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I'll just do that," because that's like easier. The
Hmm.
dialogue sometimes is a little, I don't know, it's
Yeah,
a little stressful depending on how often you get or how soon you get the script. But yeah, the ad libby acting type of stuff, oh, love that so much.
yeah. I think a lot of these scenes that you're seeing are ad libbed. I didn't realize that until recently. Someone said, "Oh, there wasn't even a script. They just ad libbed the whole thing." It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you,
And
do
I feel
you
like that's fun because you can showcase your personality a little bit more.
right? Yeah. Do you set goals for yourself at this point in your career, or where you're writing down things you want to accomplish at the end of year one, or whatever, or do you just kind of take it scene by scene right now?
Yeah, I have like definitely a couple like shorter term type of goals. I think one as of I mean just since I started, I was like if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to try to do it the best that I possibly can, and also like win some awards. Obviously, I think that people just if you're doing this and you actually give a shit about it, you want to win a couple of awards.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like nothing could top like best new starlet or best newcomer, but I think that I started because it was such a short time ago,
Yeah.
not soon enough to where I don't think that I have enough scenes under my belt yet, you
Right.
know. But maybe I could qualify for like next year. I don't really know how it works with like the
Yeah.
timing and everything.
I think you would qualify for the next year. You'd definitely be eligible for the following year. So that's definitely a
Yeah, for
goal.
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides just doing well on camera, are there things that you're learning? Little things that you can do off camera in terms of like how you carry yourself. Being professional, like that can really enhance your reputation and in your career.
Yeah, I mean, I think with me, like, I don't know. I was kind of more the type of person that like, and this essentially like maybe to everyone else listening wouldn't really matter too much, but I try to look as good as I can nowadays when I'm like, walking around, just doing God knows what. I try to look good. Like when I'm living in my hometown, I don't do anything with myself, but nowadays, if you're walking around LA or you're walking around Miami, you just never really know the connections of someone,
Mhm.
you meet somebody and then they have a connection to this person and if I'm walking around I'm looking good, maybe I meet someone who's a producer that has a connection to you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So I try to look a little bit better and not as like
like you just woke
not
up or
together.
something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, as I would as
yeah,
I would comfortably, but now that I'm trying to be a little relatively more professional, and then also to just I think like the best strategy is just to be really cool and then also like befriend everyone, like just like
Mhm.
be like Switzerland in the middle of drama, just be
Oh,
nice, be like friends with everybody. And I think that's what's almost gotten me as I mean I just started, but I
yeah,
feel like I've gotten relatively far for only just starting maybe like 3 months ago, so I feel like that's what's gotten me decently far so far. People are like, you have a great, like on top of you being kind of attractive, you have a really good personality, and I like when people say that the
yeah.
most
That's such a
because then they want to. Yeah, right. Like I like when people like give me a compliment on something that's not external. Like
right.
it's nice.
Absolutely.
And I think that kind of carries you. And then people are like, oh, this girl, yeah, she's hot, but she has a really cool personality. She's very easy to work with. She's fun. And then just kind of push me over to the next person. And then I get a lot of connections that way. So it's nice.
I was wondering about that because a lot of times when a girl, enters the industry and takes off as quickly as you have, shooting for Brazzers right off the bat and everything, there can be some jealousy and some cattiness. It's just natural. I didn't know if you've encountered that, or if everyone's been pretty cool so far.
Yeah. I mean, I think I feel like I encountered on like a more like a passive level. You know, it's not like people aren't coming right up to me and being like, whatever,
Yeah.
confrontational or just saying anything to my face. But I think I see it in like the background kind of, and I don't really pay it. I just don't care for the most part. And it's not like, oh, I have no competition. It's like, of course, everybody's competition, but I'm not gonna. I don't. I try not to see it that way. Like
Hmm.
I have my own thing going on. Everyone else has their own thing going on. I wish everyone else the utmost success. I'm in my own little element over here. So I mean, I actually got like on Instagram sometimes I'll do ask me questions and someone's like, how do you deal with hate and jealousy? And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't even pay attention. That's how I deal with it.
Just pretend like it doesn't exist. Yeah. Just ignore it.
Right. Ignorance is bliss.
Have you found any close friends, maybe people that have, I don't know if mentor is the right word, but people that have kind of been a confidant to you here early in your career? People you,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like it's guys more so
Mhm.
than women just because of the I don't know, like more competitive nature of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had a lot of I mean not a lot of guys, but a few guys be like, oh well, you should do this because of this, and just people that have been in the industry for a longer amount of time obviously than me that have given me a lot of advice that has helped me a lot so far, so it's really nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean I get along with most people
Yeah.
easily, but I do think a lot of people in this industry they don't they like they play their cards right, so they don't lay everything out on the table. They're not like this is what
Hmm.
I'm doing. They don't want to know your next move, and like that's totally fine. The guys are a little more open,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Last question. Dave Rock, your agent with Motley Models, told me was telling me earlier about your work ethic, about how you'll get up in the morning, do some OnlyFans content, go shoot a scene, do some more OnlyFans stuff at night, shoot a scene the next day. He said you're just grinding right now. I mean, is
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just a little go-go dancer over here.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I always definitely keep myself busy for sure. And honestly, that started from like I thought actually when I was a little bit younger, it was a weird little coping mechanism. Like just always keep yourself busy, always make money, and then you'll just always be happy. And
right, right,
nowadays, it's like, of course, I'm doing that, and I am happy, but that's not what it's all about at the end of the day. It's a more superficial way of thinking, but um, yeah, when I was like 16, I had like three jobs,
did
and
you?
I was just grinding, just going hard, and ever since then, I had multiple jobs. I never stopped. I was working forever.
Yeah,
So now it's like I do this, and this is my main thing that I do. But
right,
I like to keep busy in other little aspects too. And I think a lot of it too is because I'm from New York, so it's like a hustle culture type of situation, you know?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
let's go. Even though it's not New York City, it's just like New York in general, like the people are
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So yeah, I kinda think that's where it stems from.
When you finally lay your head down at night to go to sleep, I bet you sleep pretty well. I bet you
Yeah.
you've exerted so much energy during.
Yeah, I definitely do. And I go to bed late too. I'll go to bed at like 2 a.m. sometimes. And there's a difference. Obviously, the West Coast and East Coast, like 3 hours over here.
Hmm.
So in my mind, it's like 2. Over there, it's 5.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even know. All
Well,
over the place, but
well, hey, I sure
such
and
is life, you know?
yeah. Well, I sure do appreciate you joining us tonight to chat, and I think a lot of people are excited for you and excited about you and all that's ahead, and looking forward to keeping in touch and doing this again sometime soon. But thanks again, Cece.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll be in touch.
Appreciate you.
You too.
Bye.